Railway stations are built on expectation, not of permanence, but of repetition. Trains arrive, borders open, passengers pass through. Canfranc was built on the assumption that this rhythm would never stop. High in the Pyrenees, near the border between Spain and France, a railway station was constructed that far exceeded its surroundings. The village was small, the valley was narrow, but the ambition was immense. When Canfranc International Railway Station opened in 1928, it stretched more than 200 meters in length, over 300 windows, multiple platforms, customs halls, inspection rooms, dormitories, offices. It was not designed for a town, it was designed for a system. The station existed to solve a problem. Spain and France operated on different rail gauges. Trains could not simply cross the border. Canfranc became the place where movement paused. Passengers disembarked. Luggage was inspected. Goods were transferred. Papers were checked. Everything that flowed through Europe had to stop here, briefly, before continuing. Borders here were not lines on a map. They were procedures. Documents were checked. Cargo was inspected. Passengers waited while systems verified their legitimacy. Movement did not end at Canfranc. It slowed. The station turned geography into process, distance into paperwork, time into permission. For a moment, every journey became administrative. This pause was the station's true function. The building reflected this role. Long corridors enforced direction. Symmetry imposed order. Rooms were arranged to process people efficiently, not comfortably. Canfranc was not meant to be admired. It was meant to function. Its scale was a declaration of confidence, that international movement would increase, that borders could be managed, that the future would require more of this, not less. For a time, the system worked. Trains arrived from France. Others departed into Spain. Staff maintained constant schedules. Customs officers monitored the flow. The station rarely slept. Success here was measured by smoothness, by how little attention the process required. But systems built on cooperation are fragile. In the 1930s and 1940s, Europe changed direction. The Spanish Civil War disrupted traffic. Soon after, the Second World War redefined borders entirely. Canfranc found itself in an uneasy position. Officially, neutral territory surrounded it. Unofficially, it became a passage point for people and materials moving quietly across borders. The station continued to operate, but the certainty it was built on began to erode. After the war, rail travel resumed, but never at the scale originally imagined. Road transport expanded. Air travel grew. Borders hardened and softened unevenly. Canfranc remained operational, but increasingly oversized for its role. The building did not adapt. It waited. Then in 1970, a derailment occurred on the French side of the line. A bridge was damaged. The connection was severed. Rather than repair it, the decision was made to abandon the route. International rail traffic through Canfranc stopped entirely. There was no dramatic shutdown. Trains simply stopped arriving. Without cross-border traffic, the station's purpose vanished. Local services continued briefly. Some offices closed, staff numbers dropped. But a station built for thousands could not survive on dozens. In 1975, Canfranc's International Railway Station closed. The building remained intact. Its function did not. What followed was not collapse, but suspension. Platforms stayed aligned with tracks that led nowhere. Waiting rooms kept their proportions. Corridors still directed movement that no longer existed. Nothing demanded immediate removal. So nothing happened. Walking through Canfranc today, scale becomes disorienting. The station feels too large for silence, too formal for emptiness. The building was designed to absorb crowds, voices, footsteps. Without them, proportions become exaggerated. Ceilings feel higher than necessary, corridors longer than intended. Rooms carry echoes that have nowhere to settle. Silence here does not feel peaceful. It feels misplaced. The station was never meant to rest, only to pause briefly between movements. Rooms designed for inspection hold only air. Signage still points toward processes that ended decades ago. The building remembers what it was supposed to do. The world around it does not. Decay arrived slowly. Moisture entered through neglected roofs. Paint peeled without correction. Metal fixtures oxidized in place. But the structure held. Canfranc was built to endure traffic, weight, and repetition. It did not fail when those demands disappeared. It simply outlasted them. For years, the station stood unused but unresolved. Too large to demolish easily, too complex to repurpose quickly. It became a landmark without a role. Visitors arrived not to travel, but to observe. The station designed for transit became a destination. In time, plans emerged to restore parts of the structure, not to its original function, but to something new. Hotels, museums, controlled access, preservation replaced operation. The building would survive, but its meaning would change. Canfranc now exists in layers. One layer remembers international ambition. Another reflects geopolitical interruption. Another belongs to reinterpretation. None fully replace what came before. The station was built on certainty that borders could be managed, that movement would increase, that systems would remain stable long enough to justify their scale. Those assumptions did not fail suddenly. They expired. Canfranc was never destroyed. It was outpaced. Its size speaks not of excess, but of belief. Belief that infrastructure could anticipate the future and hold it in place. Today, trains still pass nearby. Movement continues, just not through this building. Canfranc stands parallel to modern routes, watching systems move on without it. Stations are defined by flow. When flow disappears, what remains is architecture without urgency. Canfranc does not feel abandoned. It feels unfinished, as if it is still waiting for a system that no longer needs it. The station was built to manage borders. Now it marks the limits of prediction, a reminder that confidence, once set in stone, can outlast its own relevance.